thank you for having us here. The Sewage and Water Board stands prepared for this year's season. And that starts with the training and identification of critical personnel, our pump station operators, our power plant personnel, and those who are going to be in the field have been identified. They are ready and they will be staged in the event there is a named storm. We've also been working closely with the Southeast Louisiana Flood Protection Authority East to ensure their outfall canal operations are aligned with their operations as well. We've also been working very closely with Entergy. We participated just last week in their tabletop exercise so that we can ensure that we have proper lines of communication should a loss of power take place. We currently have 89 of 99 major drainage pumps available across our system, and we anticipate having our two largest pumps out of those that are down back in service by the end of June. All of the pumps that we have cannot operate, though, if they do not have adequate power. Our system requires a minimum of 44 megawatts of total power to be able to operate all of those pumps. We currently have 49 megawatts available, so we do have some redundancy, but we're very much looking forward to the return of turbine 4. We expect to receive parts for that turbine on or about June 14th, and we anticipate about a 2-week turnaround time to have those parts installed, at which time we will just have just shy of 70 megawatts of power available. We also have backup generators in place for our sewer pump stations, as well as full capacity for backup generation at our East Bank and West Bank sewer treatment plants should there be a loss of power to those facilities. So we are prepared. I'm very grateful for the group that we have in this room and those upstairs, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, sir. As you know, during regular operations and especially during times of emergency, our 911 communications district is very heavily needed. So Director Carl will come and give you an update on their preparedness and how the public can connect with them.
Good afternoon. As indicated by our fellow public safety team members, my staff has all gotten their evacuation plans for family together, et cetera, so that when we need to call upon them to come in and work extra shifts, et cetera, they'll be there. The first responders are your connection to field public safety responders to get the help that people need. We're all stronger together. We'll all be there, and we'll all take care of what needs to be done to get your help. In times of emergency, when there are lots of calls, the system gets bogged down, calls take time to go through it and answer. So the one thing I will say is if you need to call us, if you need to call 911, call 911 and stay on the line. Your call will be answered. You will talk to someone. We will help you. Do not hang up. Do not try to call back. That simply puts you back at the end of the line. Call 911. We will answer. After the fact, call 311 as well to report debris down, et cetera, et cetera. We will coordinate with all of our other partners to get those notifications out so that we can get streets cleared, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
One of our other invaluable partners that we have that works with us, of course, is the Coast Guard. We would like to ask Mike Worcester to step in and give us his update on their preparedness for the season. Thank you, Mike.
Good afternoon. My name is Commander Mike Worcester. I'm the Emergency Management Chief for Coast Guard Sector 2. Coast Guard units locally have prepared for hurricane season through conducting exercises and working with our local partners. We have a great relationship with the City of New Orleans as well as our federal, state, and local partners, and we look forward to working with them as needed during severe weather events during this upcoming hurricane season. Thank you, and taking back my
Thank you, Commander. We appreciate it. Of course, one of the agencies that helps us non-emergencies, and especially during emergencies before and after, is our infrastructure department. Deputy CAO Joe Threat will give you his update on preparedness for this season.
Good afternoon, everyone. The infrastructure group for the City of New Orleans stands ready. I've been fortunate to come in with the mayor in May 2018. We went through multiple host of events. I'm fortunate to have most of my directors when we came in 2018 still with me. So we've handled it all, from pandemic to tornado, hurricanes, you name it. We stand ready to support the residents of New Orleans. We have a good relationship with GOSEP. We're lucky to have most of our FEMA liaison and the local FEMA office still available that mans up the EOC with us. And we have a lot of experience in grant management, so we can go out and develop those project worksheets to make sure we get the funding we need to bring the city back on board. Our primary focus is right now, we'll have all hands on deck when we have a major storm heading toward us or whatever the event might be. Our focus, number one, focused on damage assessment, and then we'll do debris removal. And even now, we're working on our catch basins, our street lights, to get those all up and running. We just started this week on the Pontchartrain Expressway, restoration of those street lights on the interstate and putting up new poles. We have a lot of problems with pilferage in the city. So a lot of times when you see street lights out, it's not because they just burn out, because the pole was cut down, or they're in our traffic signals pilfering metals. So that's one of our main problems going forth right now. It's happening across the United States, just talking to other departments.
Give it to him in layman terms, too, Joe.
Yes.
Joe.
Stealing. I need help from the residents on the catch basins. A lot of them, folks that went and put those catch basins not draining in 311. If they're sitting in 311 queue, if you're in the neighborhood, your catch basin's not draining, I need you to go through your council office. That's the quickest way to get to me, so I can get my crews out there clean those catch basins. Stephen and Sewer and Water Board can't pump if the catch basins are clogged up. So that's what I have for y'all today. You know, you can always reach us through the council office. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. One thing you will hear the mayor say all the time is that she is, and this administration is battle tested, and through that, through the mayor's leadership and other department heads, we reimagine the use of our great Nord Recreation Center to be able to help during the case of emergencies. With that, we bring CEO of New Orleans Recreation Department, Larry Barabino, to tell you about his storm season update and how Nord will provide services.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor. NOAA stands ready to assist when any emergency comes. You know, as Colin Arnold mentioned, that he has 16 emergency resource centers, with 9 of those being NOAA Recreation Centers. We not only open for hurricanes, we open anytime there's an emergency need, whether it's a heat wave that's coming through or a cold front that's coming through. We open up our facilities to assist our residents. Also, we have had over 40 staff that has been trained in through Red Cross in basic shelter management. With also, we have all of our facilities are equipped with AEDs, and all of our staff have been trained in AED and CPR training. So NOAA stands ready to assist and play our part anytime there's a need and or an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Craig Toomey, Director of Emergency Management. Thank you, Mr. Toomey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. So the RTA still stands committed to providing emergency transportation to support the city's assisted evacuation plan for transportation to the Smoothie King Center, which is our parish pickup point, and also for other evacuation scenarios depending on the storm severity and speed. Last year we integrated the 17 legacy evacu spots into our existing transit system to give people more options to go to get the Smoothie King Center. So all anyone has to do is grab a bus going downtown and you'll get eventually to the Smoothie King Center to evacuate safely. We will also provide point-to-point transportation for folks with persons with mobility issues. People just have to call 311. That's the main number I want you to call 311. I can't stress enough, please sign up for NOLA Ready alerts. Text NOLA Ready at 77295. The RTA will be communicating the status of transit services through NOLA Ready during a hurricane, or before a hurricane, during and after a hurricane. So it's really important you sign up for those alerts. Also sign up for Smart 911. Very important that the RTA knows who you are as well for transportation, so we can transport you safely to the Smoothie King Center. So please sign up for Smart 911. You can access that through NOLA Ready's website as well. And the last, if you do choose to use the RTA to go to the Smoothie King Center to evacuate, you can go to our website at norda.com to download our Hurricane Preparedness Guide, which will give you all the details that I've spoke about today on how to access RTA services for an emergency. And you can also pick up a brochure at our RTA headquarters at Canal Street. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. As you know, we are a city that we are proud to say that we are built to host, and storms come at some unfortunate times when we can be filled with tourists and guests in town. So to give us an update from New Orleans and Company, this is Kelly Ships. Thank you, Kelly.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Mayor, for having us here today. Many people talk about, today, they've talked about the residents, and I wanted to speak a little bit about the visitors who are coming to our city this summer. And we often talk about the summer tourism season being a little bit slower, but this summer is somewhat of an exception. We do have major groups that will be convening in our city, especially throughout the month of August. We have groups of 2,000 or 3,000 or more people who will be coming to New Orleans for their conventions. We also have major leisure events that are happening this summer. The 30th anniversary of the Essence Music Festival, for example, which will happen over July 4th. We're preparing to also welcome the Bocuse d'Or and Pastry World Cup, which is an event that has never been held in the United States, but it is going to be here in New Orleans in mid-June. So our job is to make sure that those visitors, we want them to come, enjoy themselves, but if need be, that they are evacuated from the city safely and that they feel informed about the plans. Those visitors are coming to New Orleans because of our world-class culture, because of our ability to host events better than any other city. But I will tell you, as someone who lives here and works here, sitting in the room this morning with the mayor and all of the leaders across that table, it is very reassuring to know the level of expertise that exists in that room, to know how battle-tested and ready this group is at every level. So I feel good about that as a citizen, and we also share that expertise with all of our customers and people who are bringing large groups of visitors to the city. They also are very comforted by the expertise and preparedness of this room.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As you know, we have continued to develop our flood protection plan over the years since Katrina. To give us an update from Southeastern Louisiana Flood Protection Authority, Kelly Chandler. Thank you, Kelly.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for being here. My name is Kelly Chandler. I'm the Regional Director for the Flood Authority East. We maintain and operate the hurricane and storm damage risk reduction system on the east bank of the Mississippi River in St. Bernard, Orleans, and Jefferson parishes. This consists of over 192 miles of levees and flood walls. We have 246 land-based gates, 8 marine-based gates, and 3 pumping stations. We have exercised all of our gates. We have completed our annual inspections. We have updated our emergency management plan, and we've performed a tabletop exercise in anticipation of this upcoming hurricane season. We do have 4 of the 17 pumps that are being permanently repaired, 2 at the London Outfall Canal and 2 at 17th. They're working around the clock to get those pumps reassembled and back into operation. I mentioned earlier that it's a storm and damage risk reduction system, so you cannot eliminate all the risk. As you've heard today, make sure you have a plan, listen to local and state officials, and have your supplies ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Chandler. Another agency that's very, very important that public may not always get to see, of course, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We will have Mr. Brad Jurisco to come up and give us his update on his agency regarding this year's storm preparations. Thank you, Brad.
Good afternoon. As you're aware, preparing and responding to emergencies such as river floods and hurricanes requires a team approach. Throughout the year, federal, state, and local risk management teams work together to ensure that if there is an emergency, we have a cohesive and well-coordinated plan. Today, the greater New Orleans area has the most advanced risk reduction system in the nation. The system will defend against the 100-year storm surge event, which is a storm that has a 1% chance of occurring in any given year. Through the daily efforts of our partners at the Flood Protection Authorities East and West, the hurricane and storm damage risk reduction system is in great shape and will perform as designed this hurricane season. Additionally, as we're all aware, hurricanes bring rainfall in addition to storm surge. SELA projects are designed to help manage a 10-year rain event, which is 9 inches of rain during a 24-hour period. During a tropical event, SELA will work in tandem with the hurricane and storm damage risk reduction system, while the perimeter system will reduce the risk of surge entering the interior of the city SELA projects will help reduce rainfall-induced damages by getting water out of the city. For PCCP, we're continuing our efforts to ensure each of the permit canal closures and pumps meet its 35-year design specifications. Long-term repairs have been completed on one pump, and another 3 are to be completed by June 1 this week. The remaining 13 pumps have been evaluated and confirmed to be both reliable and capable of delivering the required pumping capacity during the 2024 hurricane season. Corps of Engineers will suspend its on-site work during the hurricane season to prevent potential interference with the Flood Protection Authority East's maintenance, readiness, and operations during any sort of weather events. I want to echo what everyone else has said here to make sure you have a plan and be ready during this hurricane season, as the Corps of Engineers is ready to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. We will have our mayor back for final closing comments, and then we will take 2 rounds of questions for the emergency preparedness season, and then we will close.
Thank you, Terry. As you've heard, and hopefully have a clear understanding of how the city of New Orleans is prepared for hurricane season 2024. All hands absolutely on deck, and we have demonstrated that we are stronger together. With that, this is about you all, the public, having a plan. Also, knowing your neighbors. This is a perfect opportunity, again, to not only assess your needs, but the needs that of your neighbors and your community, particularly those who are the most vulnerable in our community, our seniors. In addition to that, I just want to, again, make sure that you text all one word, NOLA ready, to 77295. It continues to be the trusted source of information in real time that will come from the city to the public. At this time, Mr. Terry, I would like to turn it over for questions and answers, and all of our directors, our leaders, both local, state, and federal, are prepared to answer any questions that you may have after a very extensive briefing that we have provided you with.
Zach?
Nothing at this point.
All right. Maddie?
This one's for Mr. Arnold or Madam Mayor, if you'd like to weigh in too on the subject of evacuation. So we had GOSEP Director Thibodeau go before state lawmakers today, saying that contraflow becomes difficult when some of the almost 2 million residents in the metro area are waiting until that last possible second to evacuate their homes. So what are some of the challenges that your offices face in convincing people that you need to evacuate on that first voluntary evacuation and then that mandatory evacuation? And how important are those alerts from the city to the people?
I think the alerts from the city are the most important because they're in real time, and it's us responding to existing conditions that are on the ground and that change rapidly. What we have seen, quite frankly, that storms are coming faster than we could even ever anticipate contraflow. You've heard from the state police as well. Colin, please come up and you can give it a little bit more meat on the bone, but the bottom line is things are coming faster, harder, and that's why we're putting a little bit more pressure, I would say, on the federal government, and also just in terms of the spirit of partnership, state and local and federal partners to meet the needs of our people. Colin?
Yes, ma'am. It's a great point. Somewhere along the line, and I was very alarmed last year, I believe it was Representative Willard, put together kind of a community subcommittee about contraflow. And I was very alarmed that there are members of the community telling us, when we're talking about contraflow, that contraflow is, when they enact contraflow, that's when it's time to leave. That's my decision-making point, and that cannot be further from the truth. When you hear the mayor say it's time to go, it's time to go. That should be your decision point of whether or not you're going to evacuate. If it's a mandatory evacuation, clearly it's time to go. So the sooner you can do that safely with your family, with your pets, with your loved ones, and get out of town, that's when to go. What we've always said about contraflow is it's the last resort of last resorts. It is when we realize that at 30 hours before a hurricane is going to arrive in the community, 1.3 million people here, you can do the math. It takes a lot of roadway to get everyone out. And so it is it's like pulling the bathtub drain on the sink, or on the bathtub to get people out at that final last moment. And so don't base your decision-making off of when contraflow is enacted. Do it hours before, 12 hours before. If you do that as well, you're not gonna have the concerns about fuel. You're not gonna have the concerns about breaking down on the side of the road with everyone else who runs out of fuel. You're not gonna be waiting, 8 to 10 hours in traffic to get to Mobile or to get west, whichever direction you're evacuating. It just makes so much more sense to try and do these things very early.
Well, and I would just add, we have real scenarios that we've had to live through, Ida being one of them, where we had to therefore implement a post-disaster evacuation. Those are strategies that we will continue to uplift and lean on, should we need to.
Thank you, Mayor. Mallory, you didn't have anything? Ellen?
Just to follow off what Maddie said with both you, Mayor Cantrell and Colin, at the state level they said today when it comes to contraflow, it's up to the parish's discretion to enact that contraflow. And they also mentioned 72 hours before that has to happen. I just want some clarification because I believe the state trooper did say 36. So when it comes to making that decision, you guys obviously will have to work with other parishes. Everyone's using that interstate, plus maybe Mississippi, Texas, DOTD. How does that all work, and then coordinating that with the state level?
Well, hour 72 is what is on, I would say, the plan or the map, if you will. But clearly, time isn't on our side based on how these storms have been coming our way. That's just the facts. You mentioned a coordinated effort. Absolutely. It's not just about parish to parish coordination. It's state to state. And so those are our challenges. And of course, if one state does not want to move forward, then it cripples the entire plan. And so we have to, one, just rely on ourselves in terms of effective communication and our public being in a position to receive timely updates from all officials, and particularly this city, the mayor of the city of New Orleans, and all partners here. But that is why texting again that NOAA ready to 77295, I would say, is the best point of contact for our public. Anything to add, Colin?
So the mention of 30 hours by Major Archodi, that's when it actually starts, when people will actually see the interstates all going in one direction. And we're talking Interstate 10, 55, and 59. Two of those interstates run through Mississippi. This is where the challenge is with contraflow and the 72 hours that it takes to set it up, essentially. And that is that two of those interstates are going to run through Mississippi, so you've got traffic closures and law enforcement and DOT resources from both states that have to be put together. We want to work with the state. It's a state plan. The only thing we can do as a city is request it. And I think where the issue comes in, what the mayor talked about is during Ida, Ida didn't exist at H-72. It wasn't even, it didn't exist. So when we're finally able to actually see this is going to be a major hurricane projected to hit New Orleans, we were at 50, maybe 40. And so we're outside of that window already with contraflow. So I think the future of contraflow, it's a viable plan. I think what has to happen is we need to work with our state partners and figure out a way to possibly try and trim that time down, that notification time.
Thank you, Colin. Ariel?